Can the Monsters of the Midway make it 5 wins in a row as they'll face Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens on the East Coast on Sunday? In basketball, gambling. Who's taking the biggest risk? We'll give you our thoughts coming up. On the court, the NBA on NBC made its big debut, and you and I, along with everybody else around the world, watched along as well. The Chicago Bulls made it 1-0 after surviving and defeating the Detroit Pistons at the UC. In baseball, the World Series finally starts tonight north of the border as the Toronto Blue Jays will face off against the Los Angeles Dodgers, trying to make it back-to-back World Championships. In hockey, can we rear on the Chicago Blackhawks as a surprise team in the NHL, or should we pump the brakes? We'll give you our thoughts coming up. And it's the return of our girl, Miss Christine, the Queen Manika, with her weekly NFL picks and so much more on this hashtag Football Friday here on Second City Sports on Sports. So, Chicago, start it right now, LaKeena. Welcome to the hashtag Football Friday edition, the last one for the month of no, not yet. We got one more week to go. Welcome to the hashtag Football Friday edition of Second City Sports. You're locked and loaded, and we're live in living color right here on Sports So Chicago, along with Miss LaKeena McGee, which is she. I am Sidney Brown. Hey, you know it's me. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter, X, and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You follow McGee McGee on the Twitter, X, again, IG.
Be sure to download the Sports Zone Chicago app wherever you get your apps. Please follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms on Facebook, X, Instagram, and YouTube. And thank you very much in advance for your support.
Like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends.
We are unapologetically fun, and we have very definite opinions. If you have any definite opinion, do not 2-hour extravaganza we call a Sports Talk radio show. You definitely got to hit us up at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or Sports Zone Chicago YouTube. Type in those questions and comments in the comment section. LaKeena will get the up on the screen for you. If you decide to troll and or do something silly, dumb, or stupid, I'll give LaKeena full powers to give you dumbbells to bill and be a boot.
Toodles.
But before we begin, shout out to our live game. That's LIVE Live Entertainment game that's checking us out right now live in the living color on our Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook and YouTube channels at 12:21 p.m. Central Standard Time. But as always, much love. Mwah! Shout out to the replay gang checking us out on the replay, also on our Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook and YouTube channels. Don't you ever forget our motto where we talk about sports, music, or entertainment. We will always provide.
We provide for you some of the best here on Second City Sports, but don't look now. But the Blackhawks are actually fun to watch. Or as Paul Bisnet from TNT would say, put your grandparents, put your dentures back on. The Blackhawks are fun. They won 3 in a row. They're now 4-0-1 in their last 5. So that's exciting. Or are they a surprise, or should we just pump the brakes and see? Okay, let's see. Give them a month to see how it goes. Our girl Christine Mann from KXRB will join us for our Week 8 pick notes in the NFL. A light schedule since about 6 teams are on bye. We'll talk about that coming up at the bottom of the second hour. Here, yes, we'll talk about the gambling scandal, or however you want to put it, in the NBA. Also, we're going to talk about NBA on the court as the Bulls get their first win of the season, beating the Pistons, and also the Thunder, the reigning champ Thunder. They've already played 2. They've already played 2 overtime games. Go figure. We'll also talk about the NBC's coverage, and also we'll talk about that as well. Of course, you got college football. They're in week 9. And also so much more. And also, of course, the World Series, which starts tonight between the Dodgers and the Blue Jays. But first, we're going to talk Bears and Ravens. The Bears will try to go for 5 in a row, facing a Ravens squad that has been banged up. But it looks like everyone's starting to get healthy with the Ravens, including Lamar Jackson. He's working out today as we speak. We'll see if we can have that update before we do our picks at 1, a little after 1:30. It looks like this is going to be the first big test, I guess, if you want to say, for the Bears in the last few weeks. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. Now, can DeAndre Swift keep up? I know he's questionable. I know DJ Moore's been banged up lately. I know Kokomen as well. I know Tyree Stevenson and Kyler Gordon. I know Stevenson especially hasn't practiced the last week, so he might not play on Sunday. So, where do you see this matchup? I know some people are. I'm already hearing like Bears fans. You know how meatballish and also certain Bears people, on the radio and on television here in Chicago already say that. Well, this could be. Look, the Bears might blow the Ravens out. Yes, I guess I've heard some people say that. Which I'm just like, all right, someone's drinking too much of the Bears Kool-Aid. It might be
no. I think they've been playing man too much online with the teenagers. That's just me personally, but
that too.
Everybody has the right to opinion. But a couple of things I'm looking forward to this Sunday is the running game for both these teams. You mentioned it on our show on Monday. Derrick Henry, who's been one of the few bright spots for the Baltimore Ravens this year, 88 carries, 439 rushing yards, and 4 touchdowns. I'm looking forward to him to see if he can have a big game against this Bears defensive line. Statistically, the Bears shut down Alvin Kamara last week, but here's the thing. Spencer Rattler, as we told you guys last week, around this time last week, he's not a very good quarterback, even though he had 6 touchdowns and 1 interception coming into last Sunday's game. The Bears picked him all 3 times, so they made him eat crow. Here's the thing about this game against Baltimore. I'm looking at the running backs of both these teams. Derrick Henry, who I think is going to have a good game for Baltimore. On the flip side, you mentioned DeAndre Swift for the Chicago Bears. I think this will be the game that Kyle Manika is going to be featured a little bit more, whether Swift plays or not. Manika had 81 yards last week rushing, including his first NFL touchdown. I think this will be a big test for that Bears offensive line to see if they can get off the bus running, control the tempo, and open up some holes for the Bears running backs. Number 2, Caleb Williams. He must play better. We talked about it on our show on Monday that the Bears got away with him playing below average, and they won. It was because of the defense. And number 3, which leads to my third point, number 3, offense has to be aggressive. They got away with this in the Raiders game. They definitely got away with this last week in the first quarter against the Saints. Instead of putting up threes, you got to put up 7 points. We know that Ben Johnson's an aggressive guy on 4th down. We know that he could be an aggressive guy, especially early in games, calling plays offensively. They have to put up 7 points, not 3 points, especially against this Baltimore Ravens team, because if they don't, it's going to be a long day for them.
Yeah, I think the key is the fact they're going to be facing a Baltimore Ravens squad that's actually healthy. Kyle Hamilton, I know he missed the last couple of games. They're all pro safety. He's been cleared to practice. He's practiced fully. Kyle Van Noy, I know he's going to be itching to get back in the veteran linebacker. Roquan Smith, remember, look, I'm sure he will love to play upon a show against his former team. He's back at it, especially. So, yeah. And also the flip side for that O-line for Baltimore. I know Ronnie Stanley, he's their left tackle. I know he didn't play their last game a couple weeks ago. He's back in fully in practice. I know DeAndre Hopkins. I know people forget that he's in Baltimore now, but I know he's been battling illness. Now the real question is will they face Lamar Jackson? I know that he's been doing light workouts. They're kind of keeping it close to the vest. Talk about John Harbaugh wondering if they're gonna. I know Ben Johnson, they're gonna prepare like they're gonna be facing him, but I guess the Ravens want to keep it very close to the vest. So the good news is that Ravens team, you're gonna be facing a team that's been its healthiest since the opening weeks of the season. So for all those folks that think that the Bears will just roll over the Ravens, that's not gonna happen. I know they're 1-5, but remember that AFC North, especially with the Steelers losing to the Bengals last week, that division's still pretty much wide open. And if you look at their schedule, I'm talking about Baltimore, it's I don't want to say it's easy, but it's pretty like the rest of the season, starting with this Bears game. So you gotta want to. I know they got to play Green Bay, and I think in a couple times I think they got to play New England as well. We'll see where both those teams are by then in December, but it's going to be very interesting to see. The Ravens still got a lot to play for. They think they can still have a shot to win that division. So, you're going to be facing a Ravens team that they're not, have given up like that Saints team did, or, they were banged like the Commanders team was, but you're going to be facing a Ravens squad that's healthy, that they're hungry. So Bears fans better watch out when they say that, oh, well, it's going to be an easy game. No, it's not.
You listen to Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago on the hashtag Football Friday. I'm Sid. That's LaKeena as we preview Chicago Bears and Baltimore Ravens. You can watch that game live in the living color on CBS this Sunday at high noon from Baltimore. Going back to the linebackers, LaKeena, you mentioned they're very aggressive. They're very heavy veteran oriented, of course, led by Kyle Van Noy, the longtime Patriot. Of course, he's been with Baltimore the last 3 or 4 years. Of course, Rocross Smith, one of the best young linebackers in the game. We saw that those early stages here in Chicago. He's been doing a great job with Baltimore. Got that big contract extension a couple years ago. He's earned every last penny of it. The reason why I brought them up is because I want to see the tight ends get more involved in his offense. As I said, it starts and ends with Caleb Williams. Will he get Colson Lovely more involved? Will he get Cole Kmet more involved? If that's the case, you're going to loosen it up and open it up for the other targets you have on offense for Chicago. On the flip side, the secondaries, as you mentioned, but when they're healthy, you're talking about Baltimore, they're the most aggressive secondary in the league. They could definitely take it away. They're definitely hard hitting, and they're going to make life hell for you. On the flip side for Chicago, you mentioned if Tyree Stevenson and or Kyler Gordon do not play, it's going to be a long day. I know Lamar Jackson don't run. He doesn't want to run and scramble like he once did early in his career, but he's still dangerous out there pocket, and he can still fling that ball down the field. Watch out for Zay Flowers. He can have a field day, especially if one of those two guys or both guys are out for Chicago. So, like you said, it's not going to be easy. We'll see what happens, but for this Bears defense, I think, in my opinion, you have to keep Lamar Jackson in the pocket to an extent. I know some people say, well, you want to get him out of the pocket and test that hamstring. You really think that Lamar Jackson really wants to test that hamstring? Those injuries are tricky. Keep him in the pocket, force him to throw, and get him all balanced. If you could do that, if you could do that, you'll increase your chances of winning that much greater.
And Ian Rappaport from the NFL Network just tweeted that Lamar Jackson was a full participant at practice today. So
what a shock!
Yeah, I know, right? So yeah, shocker, isn't it? So, but yeah, so I think we're going to see more of that run defense for the Bears it's still a little bit iffy for me. So I think you might see a lot more Derrick Henry in this game. So I'm wondering, like, you may not need Lamar Jackson to play that much if you're the Ravens. I think you don't want to, like you said, you don't want to test that hamstring because that hamstrings are always tricky. We saw what happened with Jaden Daniels. So I'm sure they're going to want to keep it very close to the vest, not have to have Lamar use his legs. So you might be seeing a lot of Derrick Henry and even Justice Hill for Baltimore. So we'll see how that Bears run defense will get a big test against them on Sunday.
Couple of questions before we bounce for the bottom of the hour timeout. How much will special teams play in this game in terms of the kicking? And number two, do you think that Baltimore's tight end, Mark Andrews, how heavily involved do you think he'll be? Because we all know that at least over the last several years, he's been Lamar Jackson's security blanket.
Yeah, I think you might be seeing a little bit more of him, especially if they keep him and you're going to keep him in the pocket, not have him run. So you might be seeing Andrews a lot. And look, I think it's going to be interesting to see what the special teams is. I mean, Tyler Loop so far has played that has been kind of been the heir apparent, I guess, to Justin Tucker. So he's been playing very well so far. Weather shouldn't be an issue. It's going to be like in the upper 50s in Baltimore, which is typical for this time of year over there. So weather won't be an issue, and it won't light wind, so it shouldn't be a factor there as well. Now, again, we've seen Baltimore. They tend to have to do some tricky things with their special teams, so the Bears better look out for that. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But I'm kind of like, they could play a factor. Jake Moody so far has been passed every test for the Bears, but that's going to be. We know that the special teams for Baltimore can be very aggressive, so they got a history of doing that. Mm-hmm. So we'll see what happens.
One more point from me wrapping this preview up. I want to see how the Bears will handle Lamar Jackson. As I said, in my opinion, you keep him in a pocket and make him throw out his back foot, which means how much will they try to blitz Lamar Jackson to test that hamstring? And number two, how much will our linebackers be that much more aggressive? I'm talking about with TJ Edwards and Tremaine Edmonds. How will those guys be more aggressive? Because you mentioned Mark Andrews, he's going to be a big he's going to have a big role in that Ravens offense. And if he has a big day, that means our linebackers are playing back or they're just not doing the job. And the other concern I have, especially for our linebackers, is the whole defense in general, but our linebackers tackle, because we know Derrick Henry can run downhill. And I know he had a couple of games where he fumbled the ball that turned games around, in particular the opening weekend at Buffalo, which the Ravens lost. But Derrick Henry is hard to bring down. We know the Bears like to take the ball away, but if Derrick Henry is having one of those games, can the Bears sneak out a fumble or a turnover or two? Because it was nice having 4 turnovers. Those 3 interceptions and a fumble last week. You're not going to get that every week. And sometimes maybe all you need is just one. But I'm looking for the Bears about their tackling, because we all know that every play they want to take the ball away. But sometimes when you're over aggressive, you miss your big opportunities just to make the simple play.
So yeah, that could be something to look out for as well. We'll talk more Bears waivers. We are going to see back from KXRB coming up at the bottom of the next hour. But first, since we're at the bottom here, we're going to go to the hardwood and some NBA as the Bulls win their first game of the season, beating the Pistons. Also, the Thunder already getting tested, playing 2 overtime games already this year. We'll also talk about the NBC's coverage. We'll do on the court, though. We'll do the off the court shenanigans later, but we're going to do on the court for the NBA. LaKeena, McGee, Sidney Brown, Second City Sports on Sports Chicago. NBA on the court stuff coming up right after this.
Hey, it's your boy, the Superback, Sean Sierra, and be sure to follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms, on Facebook, Instagram, and our Roku channel. You can find us at Sports Zone Chicago, and on Twitter, we are at Sports Zone Shy. Also, be sure to download our mobile app so you can take Sports Zone Chicago with you on the go.
Got it done here. Ouch! And we're gonna make sure you lit this time. Ouch! You're not gonna get me this time.
Ow, Manny!
Whoops! Let's try an easy one.
Every day, we take steps to keep the people we love safe, but some health risks are easy to miss. Ticks hiding in the yard can spread germs, like the ones that cause Lyme disease. Mice searching for food can spread bacteria that makes us sick. Mosquitoes lay eggs in standing water and can spread West Nile virus and more. Cockroaches are drawn to water in the home, leaving behind allergens that can trigger asthma attacks. Common pests can threaten our health. Learn how to protect your family at pestworld.org.
Hey, this is Corey McGetty, and I listen to Sean and Maya on the morning show.
Welcome back to Second City Sports of the hashtag Football Friday edition. You're locked and loaded, and we're live in living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. I'm Sid. That's LaKeena. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter, X, and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You follow McGee on the Twitter, X, and IG.
We're going to dive into some Bulls and NBA discussion on the court for this segment. So if you have any questions or comments for us during this half hour of basketball talk, you can definitely hit us up at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or at Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in those questions or comments in the comment section. LaKeena will get the up of the screen for you.
As said, the key on the court. We'll talk about the off the court. Like I said, we'll talk about off the court shenanigans later. But actual on the court, the Bulls got an impressive win. They had a big lead. This pattern here. They had a big lead. They of course the Pistons came back, but the Pistons couldn't do some of the builds. And to the Bulls' credit, they were able to hit some big shots late, and they held on 115, 111. You got Nikola Vucevic, who happy birthday to Vuce. He turns 35 today. Got a double, 28-14. Boris Montes Buzelis had 21 points, 19 points for Josh Giddey, and Trey Jones had 12 for the Bulls. And they also got some stuff off the bench too. You got Kevin Huerter and Ayo Dosunmu had 15 and 14 off the bench. Respectively, and this is actually despite Cade Cunningham having 23 for the Pistons. Also, Isaiah Stewart got 20 off. Yeah, and also Isaiah Stewart got 20 off the bench for the Pistons. He kind of helped let that come back by the Pistons in the third quarter there. But the Bulls are just have to hang on. They don't play again until tomorrow against the Magic down in Orlando. But again, all I saw were highlights, but. And for what I've seen, this is actually, I don't want to say that they look fun to watch. I'm talking about the Bulls, but they could be, I'm not going to say they're going to be like, I'm not saying they're going to contend the Eastern Conference, but I mean, they could, look, I mean, the defense is still going to be an issue, the interior, especially in the interior. So that's been a theme the last few years, but they can outscore you with the best of them and at times. And they showed that on Tuesday.
Yeah, the Bulls were dominant the first three quarters. You mentioned about Montes Buzelis, Ayo Dosunmu, who's continued to improve each and every year he's been in the Bulls uniform. Excuse me, he had a great game. But here's the thing, LaKeena. That fourth quarter you mentioned, we talked about for the last few years, defense, especially in the interior, it got to the Bulls in that fourth quarter. And plus, they got lazy shooting the basketball, selling for jumpers and whatnot. And that's how the Pistons got back in the game. But in the first three quarters, the Bulls were cutting to the basket. They were taking care of the basketball. They were scoring in the paint. Vucevic got involved early. Stacey King talked about it on the CHSN broadcast. When you get Vucevic involved early, he gets more involved in the offense, and it helps open it up for other guys. And that's exactly what happened. The Bulls played team basketball for the first three quarters, but that fourth quarter, they just got lazy. I don't know if it was fatigue or what have you, but they survived. They survived to get the first victory of the year, but they definitely had to tighten some things up. But just from an individual standpoint, you like what you saw in Montes Buzelis. You like what you saw in Trey Jones. You mentioned Ayo Dosunmu. Nikola Vucevic was a table setter as well with 28 points and 14 rebounds. There's some things to like about this Bulls team, but I need to see more before I hop on that bandwagon and say, oh, this is a prize team in the NBA this year in terms of having a better record than what they had the year before. Like we said on our pre-show on Monday, I would still take over the 32. Some places have a 34. 32 and a half wins for the year. I will take that, but as I said on Monday, this Bulls team got to get off to a good start. It's going to be tough without Kobe White for the foreseeable future, but you were encouraged about some signs that you saw in the first three quarters on Wednesday.
Yeah, I think what helped on Wednesday for the Bulls was the fact that the Detroit struggled from three. They were only like 7 for 23 or so, 24 or something like that from 3-point range. So that kind of helped. That kind of helped them with the fact that they couldn't shoot. We're talking about Detroit. So the Bulls were able to kind of overcome those shortcomings of I don't know. Like I said, I think it might have been because they were tired because they only scored 21 points in the fourth quarter. But it was just enough. They kind of had a little bit of a stretch there. So. That definitely helps. They can't do it long term, no, and also depend on the team to not have a bad shooting night, and that's what Detroit had for three. So again, they're in Orlando right now. They will face the Magic tomorrow. And people have said that Orlando could be one of those up and coming teams, that take that next step in the Eastern Conference. We didn't talk about Orlando too much during our preview, but Apollo Banchero and Franz Wagner each had 24 points as they beat Miami in their opener on Wednesday. And I think for me, this is really going to be interesting to, we look, these two teams have always played each other. I'm talking about Orlando and the Bulls. So it'll be interesting to see how this probably get the same tomorrow night. But I think it's going to be tough because, look, you got to slow down. I know, it's going to be interesting to see how the Bulls do against this Orlando squad because they can shoot the three like with the best of them. We'll talk about Orlando. So, yeah, that's really going to be the key here, especially if they can get to that tier defense and perhaps maybe try to outshoot the Magic.
Yeah, and we know Orlando has owned the Chicago Bulls over the last 3 or 4 years. So if the Bulls don't at least piece up, shore up their shortcomings of what happened in that fourth quarter the other night against Detroit, it's going to be a long day tomorrow down in Orlando. And I watched some of that Orlando-Miami game this morning, and the Bulls, they're going to have a tough task on their hands defensively. Like we said, they can outscore, they can keep up scoring-wise with most of these teams, but defense is still the key, and especially in today's game. And we'll give you a wrap-up on the Pistons game from the other night. 29 assists for the Chicago Bulls, 18 turnovers, most of those turnovers came in the fourth quarter, which really made it bad. But like I said, due to the first 3 quarters, the Bulls were taking care of the basketball. Free throws shooting, the Bulls 26-32, Detroit 18-26. That was the difference in the game, in my opinion. And points in the paint, Detroit 68, the Bulls scored 50.
Yeah, that was a big difference there for that game. And going to the rest of the NBA on the court, we gotta make sure we gotta keep referencing that. I saw a little bit of this game last night, and Golden State needed overtime, but they came back and beat Denver 137-131, an overtime throw there. Steph doing his thing, 42 points, including 6 for total shooting, including a big 3 that sent the game into overtime. Jimmy Butler had 21. All 5 stars were in double figures for the Warriors. Al Horford also had 13 off the bench for the Warriors, so making a big contribution there off the bench too. And this is, you feel bad for that because this is by Aaron Gordon having 50 points. That's not a career high though for him. He's actually, oddly enough, is the first player to make history with 50 plus points and 10 plus made threes on 90% or better 3-point shooting. He was perfect from the 3-point range. He was 10 for 11, I should say, for 3-point range. Unfortunately, Jokic had 21 and 13. Murray also had a double-double, but it was I don't want to say it was pretty much all Steph, and he said night. Got an early night from Steph in that game last night.
Yeah, I'll combine the 2 games that the Warriors have played so far this year. Of course, they got the win against the Lakers the other night on NBC. Steph didn't play well. He didn't shoot the ball well at all, especially from 3, except for that 1 3-point he made late in the game to basically put that game away. But Jonathan Kuminga has been important for this Warriors team so far to start the year. You saw what he did in that third quarter the other night against the Lakers. You saw what he did in this game last night with 14 points and 5 rebounds and 3 assists. I know that the Warriors almost lost him, and they didn't want to resign him at his price, but they brought him back, and so far he's having a nice start to the season. You mentioned Steph having a big game last night. He shot the ball well, especially from 3-point land, 6 of 12. The Warriors overall, they're being aggressive, especially offensively. They play team basketball. Everybody thinks, it's about Steph dribbling, throwing up 3-point shots, half the time going in, blah, blah, blah. No, folks, if you watch this team, they move the ball very well. They're very efficient offensively. They're still a very good defensive team led by the anchor Draymond Green. But the Warriors shot the ball well last night, 50% overall, 38% from 3. And when you get your contributions from your other guys, that makes you that much more dangerous. On the flip side for Denver, I still have them as a sneaky favorite to win the title. Outside of Tim Hardaway Jr.'s 10 points on the bench, you get nada, 0 from anybody else from the Nuggets bench last night. So anything that you take out of that from Denver last night, outside of Tim Hardaway Jr., you need to get much from your bench. But I expect that to improve as the season goes along for Denver.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting with Denver, of course, because we talked about it. They got Dave Alleman, a new full-time coach. So that's he's gonna bring his own style to that, and we know his dad's style from back in the day. He was all about playing fast and stuff, so it's gonna be very similar with this. But yeah, I think Joker's gonna be taking some games off, so that's really gonna be a thing here. And also, going back to Golden State for a second, like I think Al Horford, I feel like that's good. That's a sneaky good signing. I feel like, because he definitely adds experience and also adds more depth off the bench for the Warriors. So that's why the Warriors are getting some folks are having them be a super player, perhaps maybe win the West and go to the finals. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting what happens here. But yeah, I really like it when I see it from Golden State so far. They don't have to depend on Steph all the time.
Yeah, and also too, let's not forget this. We saw this the other night in that Lakers game. Jimmy Butler, and we saw this too last year before he got hurt in that Minnesota series in the playoffs last year. Jimmy Butler is your closer. Steph Curry doesn't have to do anything. He can fall back to be your secondary guy, and or your thirdary guy. Inside the guys on ESPN said last night, a new term. For those that missed the episode, go back and watch. You know what I'm talking about. But Steph Curry could be that fallback guy if Jimmy Butler doesn't have the last second shot. You get the ball to Steph, and Steph can create to take the shot or give it to somebody else who's open. So this Warriors team is very balanced the first time in the last 3 or 4 years, in my opinion. So if everybody can stay injury free and play consistently, the Warriors, I think they'll match their win total of last year of 48. Because remember, they're hovering around 500 before they made their trade before Jimmy Butler. After the Jimmy Butler trade, they had the third best record in the NBA.
Yeah, so definitely Golden State's a team to watch out for there. Now going to OKC, they went into overtime against Houston, I should say. On the opener on Tuesday. Well, they went to double overtime last night against the Pacers in a rematch of the NBA Finals. 141-135. So if you took the over, you had a nice night last night. 55 points from SGA. He was exhausted afterwards. Yeah, I'm sure that meme was going around like, okay, yeah, I'm tired. He played 45 minutes. Aaron Wiggins had 23 points. For the Thunder there, 26 off the bench for Ajay Mitchell. I think that's a career high for him. On the flip side, for the Pacers, of course, no Halliburton this year as he recovers from a torn Achilles surgery. But Benedict Mathurin had 36. Siakam had 32. Obi Toppin had 20 off the bench. But yeah, interesting that the Thunder, they're just the third team in NBA history to win back-to-back games with multiple overtime periods in each. They joined the Spurs, who did it back in 2005 in April, and also the old St. Louis Hawks back in 1957 in March. So
Bob Pettit and crew way before they moved to Atlanta.
Yep. So they joined some pretty good company there. But yeah, I don't know if they want to make this a habit and play multiple overtime games. I know they're young, but they don't want to wear themselves out, especially this early in the season. But very impressive, and I think that Thunder is showing you why they're the defending champs.
Yeah, and that's why many people think that the Oklahoma City Thunder can't have a dynasty right now because of their young guys playing well. Last night's game, there was no defense. Obviously, the 3-point shooting it was terrible for both teams. 28%, I believe, for OKC, around 30% for the Indiana Pacers. I know Obi Toppin, as you mentioned, had 23 points for the Pacers off the bench last night, but they're going to have some career years, in my opinion, to even get them around 500 to even qualify for the playoffs. I think Charles Barkley alluded to that on the post-game show last night. And so without Halliburton, that creator, that table setter, is going to be tough. A whole lot more is going to fall on Pascal Siakam's shoulders. My guy, TJ McConnell, his minutes are going to go up. You saw he had some nice moments last year in the playoffs coming off the bench. Now he's going to have to step up. Everybody else is going to have to step up as well. So some nights they're going to have it. Other nights they're not going to have it. I think, like I said, we said this last year. Rick Carlisle did a tremendous job, obviously, with them getting to the finals. But this is going to be his most challenging year yet. If somehow he can get the Pacers to the play-in or to the playoffs, it is going to be a tremendous year for this franchise, considering they're missing their franchise player due to a torn ACL.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, he definitely give Coach of the Year considerations if he can do that, but that's going to be a very tall order without Halliburton. So we'll see what happens here. This is Second City Sports on Sports Chicago. LaKeena, McGee, Sidney Brown with you. Talking some NBA on the court. We got to keep prefacing that on the court stuff. Going through the games from the first, not full schedule, but I guess a full thing on Wednesday. You got Minnesota. They held off Portland. Phoenix with a nice win over Sacramento. San Antonio by 33 over Dallas. And I don't think anybody saw this score comment, but 40 points from Victor Wembanyama. He had 15 boards. He was 9 for 11 from the field, 15 for 21 there. Stephon Castle had 22 points for the Spurs. The Spurs are going to be another fascinating team because remember, until we talked about during our preview show, until Wemby got hurt, they were actually right there on the precipice. So we'll see what Mitch Johnson brings to the table. Definitely a more like fast style, nothing like Mr. Nothing like the previous regime. So there's a totally different Spurs squad. So it's going to be about scoring and kind of like having the offense through Wemby. So we'll see how this new look Spurs. At least so far, they've been very impressive, being a good Dallas squad. That was Anthony Davis had 22, PJ Washington had 17. Dallas is going to be another one of those teams that's going to be fascinating to watch because they're going to have to find kind of like a secondary guy outside of Davis. Will it be Washington? Will it be Cooper Flagg? I know he didn't have his best showing in his first regular season game, only 4 for 13 from the field. Only had 10 points, but I think I'm not going to call him a bust, nowhere near. He'll figure it out. So, but yeah, it was basically all Wemby on Wednesday for the Spurs.
And you saw why on our preview show on Monday that I picked him for MVP, hopping on that bandwagon because that guy is a man-child. He has the skills of a 6'2" guard. He's 7'4". He can definitely create his own shot. He's very mobile, to say the least, and he has the length and the width that a 7'4" guy has for a guy to have in today's game. He was a manga among boys. I think this is Will Chamberlain 3.0 or 4.0, if that makes any sense. So we know how well he affects the game defensively, offensively. I want to see, remember last year, was it last year? I said, I think it was over summer last year. I said, I want to say the Olympics version of Victor Wembanyama. I think you're seeing a little bit of that this year. We saw just a tad bit of it the other night, but I want to see how more that he can expand his offensive game this year. And if he could do that, what we saw in the Olympics a year or so ago, San Antonio will be. I think they'll be a little bit better than what people will give them credit for. But also, too, you mentioned him. Watch out for Stephon Castle. He won Rookie of the Year last year. I think he's going to have a better year. I think that's your nice young dual 1-2 combo that the league better watch out for.
Yep. So that should be interesting to see there. The Jazz beat the Clippers 129-108. Everybody said the Clippers could be a sleeper. Well, I'm looking pretty bad so far. 22 points for Walker Kessler for the Jazz. And Bryce Sissenbaugh had 20 off the bench, was a career high for him. Now, as far as the Clippers are concerned, Kawhi Leonard only had 10 points. 19 points for Ivica Zubac. James Harden only had 15. He was 5 for 12 from the field. So yeah, you wonder what the heck happened. I know they were outscored like 43-19 or something like that in the first quarter. Now they made a comeback, but it was basically they got in too big of a hole there that the Jazz were shooting like lights out at the time. But I don't know if this is just a blip or maybe this could be a sign of things to come. I have no idea.
Yeah, that's up to the Clippers. It's just one bad game. But to come out like that, especially being outscored 43-19 in the opening quarter, that's inexcusable. But hopefully it's just one bad showing and they can move on. The Jazz are still rebuilding here, so we'll see what happens with both these teams going forward.
Milwaukee beat Washington. Memphis beat New Orleans by 6 points. John Moran had 35 points there. Tyrese Maxey had 40 as the Sixers edge out the Celtics. Toronto, if you took the over in this one, you had a nice little opener for your Wednesday. Toronto beat Atlanta by 20. Orlando beat Miami. We talked about that earlier. Charlotte beat Brooklyn 136-117. And the Knicks beat the Cavs 119-111. OG Anunoby had 24 points for the Knicks. So we'll see. It's going to be interesting, though, with some of these games. Some statement games. Look, is it just a blip for some of these teams, or maybe it's just thankfully it's 82 games. There's only one at 82. But what are your early impressions of some of these teams so far?
Let me start off with the Philadelphia 76ers first. So Joel Embiid, of course, I didn't think he was going to be healthy to start the year, but he only played 20 minutes, only scored 4 points on only 1 of 9 shooting. But their rookie, I'm trying to pull his name out right now, Edgecombe. He had 34 points, the third most by a rookie in NBA history on opening night. But one problem he has to work on is those free throws, brother. He missed 2 of those free throws, and which gave Boston a shot to win the game. Of course, Peyton Pritchard missed the potential game winner, but I watched most of that game the other night, and I know they're without Paul George to start the year, but Philadelphia has some nice young talent. If they can ever put it together health-wise, I think they could be dangerous, but it's still a long way to go. In Boston, I kind of like their squad. I know they got Anthony Simons from Portland over there now, and Peyton Pritchard, as I mentioned, the 6th man of the year last year, led every NBA in points, rebounds, and assists, all coming off the bench last year. He's going to be good. Yeah, yes, they're going to play without Jason Tatum for most of the year, but they still have a pretty good squad. But Philadelphia, if they can put it together, they can be dangerous. But it was an entertaining game to watch the other night.
Yeah, that was actually a really interesting game, and then such. Like I said, Edgecombe, that was free throws were really his thing when he was at Baylor. So unfortunately, I'm not surprised that he missed those 2 key free throws. But yeah, I think Philadelphia is going to be another one of those teams where you wonder, like, okay, once PG gets back, you wonder, like, could they perhaps maybe be like that second tier group of teams in the East? That's going to be kind of like the thing where I'm looking forward to with that Philly squad. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. Like I said, once PG comes back, Embiid, you wonder, like, I'm sure they're going to be kind of like a minutes limit with him. But yeah, I think that's Philly could be one of those teams to watch out for.
Another team that people should watch out for, hopefully this guy stays out of trouble, that's John Morant and the Memphis Grizzlies. Of course, Desmond Bane, he's with the Orlando Magic now. He made a big difference in their win the other night against the Miami Heat that you mentioned earlier. But Memphis, I think they can still be dangerous, but I know there wasn't much difference between them and New Orleans the other night. But as we said before, we'll say it again, the Memphis Grizzlies are better defensively without John Morant on the floor. The numbers have proven it over the last few years. But when John Morant is healthy, he makes his teammates better offensively. On the flip side for New Orleans, I know they got Jordan Poole now, so he won't be shooting up as many bricks as he did last year with the Washington Wizards. But here's the thing, LaKeena, and he's still going to be the focal point until he makes something out of himself in terms of his career. I'm talking about Zion Williamson. Now, he had a nice game the other night. He looks good, better than last year. I know Joel Dumars, their new GM down there, couldn't trade him over the summer. But if Zion Williamson can stay healthy, maybe New Orleans could do something. But we still have a long way to go. Williamson looked nice in his debut, but I definitely want to see more from him.
Yeah, that's another thing as well for them now. Talk about that really quick. I know we're up against it. I know it's at the top. Talk about that Cavs Knicks game real quick. The first game of the Mike Brown era for the Knicks, and they looked good. I mean, look, OG Anunoby had 24. I know Brunson had 23. Catton had 19.
Mm-hmm.
Now again, it's gonna be interesting to see what happened. I know a lot of people were picking the Knicks to go to the finals, but that's gonna be kind of like that. That's really gonna be the thing here. Like, they can't use Tibbs as an excuse anymore. So, but the good news is that nobody played 40 minutes. So I guess you could say they're already well ahead of that curve. Evan Mobley had 22. Donovan Mitchell-Spider had 31 on a losing effort there for the Cavs. I'm not worried about the Cavs right now. So, but yeah, I think the Knicks need in this game more than the Cavs did for the opener.
The Cavs won't start 15-0 like they did last year. And number 2 for the Knicks, like you said, they needed that game more than the Cavs did, because they're trying to establish a new identity with their new head coach, Mike Brown. So you're going to get some balance score. Hopefully the Knicks bench will give them some production this year, unlike the last couple of years, because of Coach Tom Thibodeau. So that's going to be a challenge for Mike Brown going forward. And who could step up and be that third guy outside of Jalen Brunson, outside of Karl Anthony Towns. So We'll see what this Knicks team is made up as the season goes along.
This weekend scheduled for the NBA, Milwaukee and Toronto. These are some nice games, by the way. Atlanta and Orlando, Cleveland and Brooklyn. The first Prime Video NBA game. You will see how the graphics looks and stuff like that. You got the Boston, you got the Celtics and the Knicks. That should be a fun one at 6:30 on Prime Video. Detroit.
Real quick, LaKeena. Real quick, LaKeena. Shout out to Chicago's very own Common. He produced the song. Him and his other team, production team, produced the theme song to Prime. So if you guys haven't seen it, look forward on social media or look forward tonight in tonight's doubleheader.
Yeah, gonna be. Yeah, I heard that. It sounds really good. Very common, like as I say with the intro there. Detroit and Houston. That should be a fun. We'll see how Houston bounced back after losing a tough overtime game to OKC in the opener. Miami and Memphis and San Antonio and New Orleans.
All right, finish out tonight's schedule. We have Washington at Dallas, Minnesota and the Lakers. They'll be the second game of the Amazon Prime doubleheader at 8:30. The Trailblazers, well, new head coach Thiago Splitter will make his debut on the bench for the foreseeable future, i.e. the rest of the year. They'll host the Golden State Warriors. The Utah Jazz will visit Sacramento to take on the Kings, and the Phoenix Suns will face off against the LA Clippers. And that's your schedule for tonight.
Saturday, tomorrow's games, you got the Bulls in Orlando. We talked about it earlier. Your NBA TV game, you got OKC in Atlanta. We'll just go to overtime again. We'll see Charlotte and Philadelphia and Indiana and Memphis, and also Phoenix going to second of a back-to-back, this time on their far West Coast trip as they face Denver.
Here's your fully loaded schedule for Sunday. Brooklyn will face San Antonio. Detroit will take on Boston. The Bucks will visit Cleveland. The New York Knicks will face the Miami Heat. This should be a good one there. Charlotte will face Washington, our nation's capital. Indiana at Minnesota. Toronto at Dallas. Portland at the Clippers. And the Los Angeles Lakers, yes, still without LeBron James. Luka Doncic and crew will travel to Sacramento to face the Sacramento Kings. And that's your schedule for Sunday.
That's your schedule for this week in the first full week of the NBA season.
Hour number 1 in the books. Hour number 2 just around the corner right here on Second City Sports on the Sports Zone Chicago's #Football Friday. When we return, we'll preview the 2025 Fall Classic between the Toronto Blue Jays and the Los Angeles Dodgers, and we'll preview Week 9's big-time games in college football. Can Illinois and or Northwestern pull off big wins on the road? We'll give you our predictions coming up. That and Christine, the Queen Manica, and a whole lot more right here on Sports Zone Chicago.
Hey, it's your boy, the Superback, Sean Sierra, and be sure to follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms. On Facebook, Instagram, and our Roku channel, you can find us at Sports Zone Chicago. And on Twitter, we are at Sports Zone Shy. Also, be sure to download our mobile app so you can take Sports Zone Chicago with you on the go.
How do you take care of your mind health?
For my mental health, I meditate in the mornings.
I have my dogs. They're the best.
I just find ways that help me just relax.
Finding things that make me happy, like being close to my family.
I meditate a lot and read books.
I have hobbies outside of the game. I'm able to switch off. I'm able to turn my brain off from the game of basketball.
Your mind health matters.
Your mind health matters.
It's a romance sport. What? It's a romance sport like that.
Your Marine Corps' way of life is to defend the American way of life. Every day, we serve. We take a stand for our nation, for each other, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Everybody in a work zone is someone's somebody.
This is my mom. She works for KDOT.
This is my dad.
This is my mom.
This is my daddy.
This is my sister.
This is my daddy.
This is my son, Scott. He was killed while working in a highway work zone. When you drive through a work zone, drive like a life depends on it. Because it does.
Welcome back to hour number 2 of Second City Sports and the hashtag Football Friday this year. Locked and loaded, and we're live in living color right here on Sports Soul Chicago. I'm Sid. That's LaKeena. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter, X, and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You follow LaKeena McGee on the Twitter, X, and again, IG.
As we kick off hour number 2, previewing the 2025 Major League Baseball's Fall Classic between the Dodgers and the Blue Jays. If you have any questions or comments for us or previewing the World Series and or Week 9's previews, previewing the Week 9's big games in college football later on in this half hour, you can definitely hit us up at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in those questions and comments in the comment section. LaKeena will get the up on the screen for you.
It'll be Blake Snell against Trey Yasovich for Game 1 of tonight's the World Series between the Dodgers and the Blue Jays. Oddly enough, though, these two have not played each other in the World Series, so kind of weird there with all the history. I know this is the Blue Jays' first trip in 32 years. So, and also, of course, the Dodgers were just there last year. They're the defending champs. It could be one of those. It could be a pitcher's duel. It could be one of those like outslugging kind of things. I know Clayton Kershaw is now on the roster. They get both teams announced their roster. I know Bo Bichette's now on the roster for Toronto on the 40-man. So yeah, it's really good. The key is it's really going to depend on which team can like make them play their style. Like both teams are kind of similar in a lot of ways. They can outslug you. They can they can pitch to you as well. How much will Ohtani be pitching? Because again, remember Toronto has a home field. So how much will he actually use? Will they use him as a reliever? Especially if it goes deep, we'll see. But yeah, I think for me that the key is I think it's really just gonna depend on the pitching. I think for both sides, can we get the Blake Snell that we saw against the Brewers in the NLCS? I think for the hitting, look, can Vlad Jr. still keep it going? Can George Springer? Try to figure out that Dodgers pitching, if you will. So yeah, it's really. I think this should be a good one. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I know some people are always saying that Dodgers will sweep them just because of the way they've been playing lately. But the Blue Jays are no slouches. Look, they've been at the top of the AL East all season long. So I think people need to kind of give the Blue Jays a little bit of credit here. They've got guys now. The pitching on the back end, that's really a concern for me with the Blue Jays, but. The Dodgers, I know their pitches started to get have gotten right a little bit, these last couple rounds of the playoffs. So it really is just going to depend on which team can make that team play their style of ball.
Shout out to Trey Yasovich, as you mentioned. He will become the youngest pitcher to start at Game 1 of the World Series in 78 years. He's 2-1 in 3 starts so far this postseason with a 4.20 ERA. So we'll see what happens with Mr. Yasovich tonight. Here's the thing that I'm keeping an eye on. A couple of things I'm keeping an eye on this series for both teams. One, base stealing. We know the Dodgers can do it. Shohei Ohtani, he doesn't have the world's greatest speed. But remember, he had over 54, 55 steals, stolen bases last year. If he gets on base here, he could do damage along the base paths. Let's not forget Mookie Betts, my guy who's born on my birthday in 1992. He can steal bases as well. So base running in this series, I think is going to be key. You mentioned that bullpen. I think the back half of the bullpen with Hoffman as that closer, I'm not worried about him. I'm worried about Toronto's middle relief, and it's been a concern throughout these playoffs, especially in that last series against Seattle. I think the Dodgers, you can say that you can have, if you have concerns about them too, I get it, but I think Dave Roberts has figured it out. Whoever's not getting the job done, get out of there. Alex Vesia, their left-hander, number 51, he's been getting the job done. Let's not forget about Roki Sasaki, the rookie starting pitcher. He's been placed as almost a closer's role to close out games for the Dodgers. So that's going to be key as well. I'm looking forward to that. And also, too, number 3, I think it's going to be an offensive series because you mentioned Bo Bichette being added to the roster. That's going to make that Toronto line that much more dangerous. I'm looking for Alejandro Kirk to bust out with the offensive performance behind the plate. Unless I'm missing something, he hasn't done much with his bat in the postseason. He ended up the regular season high, but he hasn't done much with that bat so far this postseason. So I'm looking forward to Toronto. With them having a home field advantage, I think they're going to take a couple of games potentially in their ballpark because if this series was starting in LA, I think they will have a little bit more issue. But it's going to come down to, like I said, base stealing, middle relief, and just who gets hot at the plate, because whoever gets hot and sustains it, I think is going to win this series.
Yeah, I think that back half of that, you got, of course, George Springer. We talked about him, Andres Jimenez. He had some big hits in that game, in the ALCS game against the Mariners. He's really going to be the key as well. Yariel Rodriguez is going to be another guy that could perhaps, especially on that back, for that for that relief pitching. We've talked about him and such. I think that's going to be the key here. Now, as far as the Dodgers are concerned, the only thing is that the guys, I'm not worried about that roster because I think experience also plays a factor as well. That a lot of these guys just played in the World Series last year. We know Teoscar Hernandez. He had a big hit in that World Series against the Yankees. Max Muncy could be a factor as well. Of course, we know Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts. I mean, both those guys have won multiple World Series, so you're not too worried about them. Will Smith is another guy that has a World Series ring. So those guys I'm not worried about. That could experience be a factor here. I think like a couple of those guys in that Toronto roster have played in the World Series before. Mm-hmm. So maybe you could say the edge, experience wise could be for the Dodgers, but I think it's going to be a lot closer series than a lot of people think, because like you said, could we see like 10-9 or 11-10 or 7, 8-7 type of games? I think we can, because I think both these teams, can hit the ball, very well. So it's going to be the pitching that's really going to be the key here. And I think that's really, especially now that Kershaw is going to be in the roster, I think that's really going to help them. So, I think Ohtani, how much will they actually use him? Especially, they probably may not use him until they get back to Los Angeles. They may not use him out there in Toronto. But, I think that's going to be really interesting to see what happens. I know Sasaki has kind of had to step up and be that relief pitcher, if you will. So, I don't know. I think this could be, look, we won't do our predictions in a couple of minutes here, but I'm thinking this series could go a lot further. Like I said, I know some people already had Dodgers going like in 4 or 5. I think that's kind of silly. But I think that's really going to be the key for me, is that can Toronto, get, if you're the Toronto, if you can win one, you don't have to win both of them. If you can win one of these games at home, I think you can definitely set the tone and perhaps maybe show folks that, hey, they're not going to sweep us out of the water like some people are thinking.
Because I think the dimensions of that ballpark, yes, I'm still calling it Sky Dome. I'm not calling it that corporate name now, but of course the Blue Jays are familiar with those dimensions, especially down the left field, left and right field lines. So the Dodgers, like you said, they don't play there often. So I think Toronto has an advantage there. Number 2, I wanted to talk with you about the Shohei Ohtani factor. I assumed that he was going to start one of those games to Toronto. Looks like he may not. He may, but assuming that he starts 2 games this series, if the Blue Jays can beat him once, I think Toronto is going to win this series, because remember, Shohei did not pitch last year because of the Tommy John surgery, and he barely played in the World Series last year because he was suffering for a sore shoulder. So Ohtani's been hot with that last game, clinching it against the Brewers, taking home the NLCS MVP. So remember, he struggled early in the playoffs at the plate, striking out half his plate appearances, but he's quickly turned that around. He's been great on the mound. So if Dave Roberts chooses to start him once, I see why he's doing that once they get back to LA. But if the Blue Jays beat Ohtani once in this series, I think they could take the title. But I want to ask you, going back to the Dodgers side, since Clayton Kershaw is on the roster, do you even give him a start once they get back to LA, or do you pitch him out the bullpen?
Well, to answer your
Depends on
first
where
question,
the series is.
I think,
in the series.
because remember Yamamoto is gonna get the start tomorrow for Game 2, so he won't be pitching. At least in this group of games, Ohtani won't be pitching in Toronto. Now Kershaw, like I said, I think it's really just gonna depend on how it's. I think either way, I know Dave Roberts really wants to kind of like play this very carefully with Kershaw since he hasn't pitched a lot hasn't pitched any this postseason, so I think he's going to want to lead him in. He might start him off the bullpen first, maybe, especially if things kind of get a little bit out of hand for the Dodgers in one of these games. But I think once they get back to Los Angeles, I think that's really going to be the key to how it really just going to depend on how the series goes. Look, if they're tied, then he might just say, I'll just wait till like game like 4 or 5 or something like that. Now, if somehow Toronto wins both these games in there, that I can see probably maybe doing maybe a game 3 or game 4 start. Like I say, it really just going to depends on how the series is by that point, by the time they get to Los Angeles.
Teams to win Game 1 of the World Series. 6 of the last 7 Game 1 winners have gone on to win the World Series. So whoever wins tonight, could that trend continue?
Yeah, we'll see. Going to be interesting, though. I've got the Dodgers in 7.
Give me LA in 6.
All right. Both games, of course, your Fox is your home for the World Series, and both games will be at 7:00 on Fox. So yeah, Joe Davis and John Smoltz will have the call of the games. There should be a fun one, and let's hope that it should get a good rating for Fox. I mean, like you got Toronto. I know Toronto. Yeah, they're not a household name, but they've been around. They've had success years ago, and of course, the Dodgers are also a big market team. So, if you're Fox, you're feeling pretty good about this World Series. I think I know most people are going to cheer for the Dodgers, even some Yankees and like Giants fans. But I think it should get a good rating, though. I think.
Yeah, remember Toronto is in Canada, so they don't count as far as the USA ratings are concerned. So, and I'm sure there's a whole lot of people going to cheer against the Dodgers because they're viewed by many baseball fans as the evil empire because they spend the most money. So, I think it's going to be an entertaining series. I hope we get some classic moments, classic games. I think we will. So, you have talented players on both sides. It should be a hell of a series.
Yes, let's hope so. You listen to Second City Sports on Sports Chicago. LaKeena, McGee, Sidney Brown with you. We're going to switch gears here in these next few minutes and talk a little college football week 9. Yes, we're already at week 9. Folks, I know the season's kind of gone by quick now. Some of the games.
This season's gone by fast.
Yeah, way too quick. Your games for tonight, you got the Layla Rahimis, if you guys get what I'm talking about, if you know, North Texas, as they face Charlotte on ESPN2 at 6. At 6:30 on ESPN in the ACC, you got Cal. Yes, I know it's weird saying that Cal is an ACC team, but just go figure with that one. They face Virginia Tech at 6:30 on ESPN. Boise State, Nevada on CBS Sports Network at 9:00. That is your Mountain West game there. Your big noon Saturday game tomorrow at 11 a.m. on Fox. You got UCLA at number 2, Indiana. Could UCLA continue their run and pull off the upset at Memorial Stadium?
I want to say yes, but my common sense head says no. I know Indiana's favored by 25.5 points at home. But Indiana's been that team all year long. They're 7-0, as you mentioned, 4-0 in the Big Ten. Look for Keelan Black, their running back, to have a big game. I know he has 3 rushing touchdowns thus far this year. I'm looking for him to have a big game. And also, too, their quarterback, Mr. Fernando Mendoza. Only 2 interceptions thrown in the year next to 21 touchdown passes. I'm looking for him to have another about 3 to 4, perhaps maybe 5 touchdown pass performance. So I expect Indiana to roll here at home.
Yeah, I'm going to take the under on that one. Like I said, I don't think UCLA will win outright. Look, the way they've been playing, they might. I think they stayed out there on the East Coast, if I'm not mistaken, so that they can get used to the time zones and such. So, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens down there in Bloomington.
So you expect the Bruins to lose under 25 points?
Yes, I'm taking the under on that one. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. Okay, so ESPN the same time. You got Georgia Tech, undefeated Georgia Tech hosting Syracuse on ESPN at 11 a.m. 16.5 Georgia Tech is. Like, I think, look, Syracuse, I know Fran Brown, I know they've had a lot of injuries. So Dave Curter, love you, buddy, of course, for another friend of the show who was a Syracuse grad. Yeah, it might be a blowout down there in Atlanta, but I don't know.
I don't think Georgia Tech has anything to worry about here. So they've been one of the best surprise teams in college football this year. They're led by Haynes King, 10 rushing touchdowns on the year. I expect him to have another big game. So Georgia Tech has it going on right now, and I expect it to keep the train rolling.
One of the big games in the SEC, you got Ole Miss and Oklahoma on ABC at 11 a.m. as well. 5.5. OU's the favorite. I know Ole Miss is going to want to bounce back after that loss to Georgia. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, this is going to be very interesting. I know John Materno, he's been a little bit better. I know he was a little bit. I know he was banged up, but they did win. The Oklahoma did win last week against South Carolina. But I don't know. I think only because they're home. I think Oklahoma does win it, but I think Ole Miss, their defense though really worries me in the offense as well because they didn't show up those last few minutes against Georgia too. That's why they ended up losing.
But I think those guys, I'll talk about the running Rebels, will be refocused because you mentioned what happened in that fourth quarter. 0 points in that final quarter against Georgia. They had them on the road, so they couldn't get it done. I think Lane Kiffin will get his guys refocused, and I'll be that meatball head guy. I'll take Ole Miss in the upset.
All right, Virginia and North Carolina. Virginia, kind of quietly. North Carolina, we know all the weirdness has been going on down there. 10.5. Virginia is the favorite.
It's Virginia. How they get it done? You asked. Chandler Morris, their star quarterback, 11 touchdowns and 4 interceptions on the year. Also, to their star running back, Jamari Taylor, 8 rushing touchdowns on the year. So the offense is very balanced. And also, to their star wide receiver, Trell Harris, 3 receiving touchdowns on the year off of 28 receptions. North Carolina, they had their chances at Cal last Saturday night, but Bill Belichick, as I call him on this show, they couldn't get it done when it mattered most. I know they're back home, but I see Virginia with no problems here. They should be able to win this game comfortably.
All right, now this game here in the American, I know Memphis losing. I know this kind of made it a little less of a luster a little bit, but it should be a good one down there in Memphis. You got the Tigers. They host South Florida. South Florida is favored by 6.5, and like I said, I think this will be a good game between these two teams. I know that both Byron Brown, their quarterback, and he was also a leading rusher, much to his chagrin. That should be a fun one. And I think Memphis should be real focused. I know they've got the emotion and all that after losing to UAB, but it should be a thriller down there in Memphis.
Another game that should be a thriller at the same time on FS1, 11 o'clock a.m. Chicago time. 5-2 Nebraska, 2-2 in Big Ten play. They'll host the 5-2 Northwestern Wildcats. They're 3-1 in Big Ten play. Nebraska's favored by 7.5. Nebraska's been up and down the last few weeks. Dylan Raiola for Nebraska. Patrick Mahomes 2.0, if you believe that hype. 16 touchdown passes to 5 interceptions on the year. On the flip side for Northwestern, their star wide receiver Griffin Wild, 36 receptions, 516 yards overall, and 4 receiving touchdowns. LaKeena, I know weather may be a factor, but it's going to be 51 degrees and partly cloudy tomorrow. Northwestern's defense has been the story for most of the year. I expect it to be the same here. Do you think they can pull off the upset?
Yeah, Nebraska, we'll see what mood they're in after losing to Minnesota. I think Matt Rule will have his guys ready to go, and it won't be a blowout, but I think Nebraska should be able to handle Northwestern pulling away. So yeah, I'm not too worried about. Look, Northwestern had a nice where they're 3-1 in the conference, but I think Nebraska will get back on track. In the Battle of the Sunflower State, you got Kansas hosting K-State. That's going to be the TNT game of the week at HBO Max at 11 a.m. Going down to these afternoon games, Alabama and South Carolina. I know South Carolina, they've had their struggles. Now Alabama's favored by 11.5. I mean, could South Carolina pull off the upset? Nah, I don't think so. But okay, let's go to this one. Yeah, let's go to this one real quick. You got Mizzou and the Fighting Mike Bermans and Josh Frymiz, as we call them here. At number 10, Vanderbilt. This is the first time that both these teams are gonna be facing each other in the top 15. They got Vandy favored by 3.5. Do you think Mizzou could pull off the upset? Excuse me.
Yeah, this game should have been on ABC, not ESPN, but we'll get into that discussion at a later time. But for Mizzou, their star quarterback has to play well. I'm talking about Bo Pribula. 7 interceptions on the year to 11 touchdowns. He's got to play well, especially in a hostile environment. Also, to look out for that star wide receiver, Kevin Coleman Jr., only 1 receiving touchdown. I think he needs to step up to have a big game. But I think it's going to come down to the defense. Who's going to force that big turnover? Will it be Vanderbilt or will it be the Tigers? Whoever forces that big turnover, I think wins this ball game. I think I might pick Vanderbilt only because they're at home.
Going to be very interested to see what happens down there in Nashville. Now, another one in the Big 12 this time. We got BYU that's undefeated. They face Iowa State. They've fallen off a little bit. Talk about Iowa State. Although Vegas actually believes in them, I guess, because they're at home. They're 2.5 favorites. I think Iowa State really needs to get their defense going, slowing down that offense at BYU, because that's what's been killing them these last few games.
Yeah, give me BYU here. Even though, yes, they are playing obviously outside, but give me BYU. They're a better talented team right now.
Illinois and Washington up in Seattle. That's going to be on the Big Ten Network at 2:30. They actually got the Washington favorite at 4.5. Washington's one of those young teams and up-and-comers. We'll see how Illinois does in that Husky Stadium environment, because that place is going to be rocking. So I believe this is only their second time they played at Husky Stadium. So,
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So that'll be interesting down there.
The rush. Yeah, the rush defense for Illinois they're going to have to stop Jonah Coleman of the Washington Huskies. 12 rushing touchdowns on the year. But on the flip side, for the Illini, everybody has to play better. I know they had a week out to think about that and move on from that Ohio State loss at home. But the offensive line for the Illini has to play much better. They got to get off the bus running that much better. Luke Altmaier has to play well. If they can do those 3 things, I think Illinois can pull off the upset. I think Washington will win this game, but I think the Illini will keep this close.
Yeah, that should be interesting up there. Minnesota, your buddy PJ Fleck, he takes his go-to-goers down to KX Stadium against Iowa. That's going to be at 2:30 on CBS. They got Iowa favored at 8.5, which I think is a little bit high. I know they were off last week, but yeah, I know weird things happen at KX Stadium near Halloween, so I guess that's why they're doing it this way. But I think Minnesota should be okay. I think, but what say you, real quick?
Yeah, I think I'll take Drake Lindsay and Lameek Brockman and crew. I'm giving the Minnesota Golden Gophers the slight upset over Iowa here.
All right, real quick, Toledo and Wazoo on the CW network. That's WGN for those who are scoring at home. Going into Oklahoma State and Texas Tech on ESPN. You got Baylor and Cincy on ESPN2 at 3:00. Texas and Mississippi State at 3:15 on SC Network. TCU and West Virginia. We're going to the late games here on ESPN Plus. On FS1, you got Oregon hosting Wisconsin. They shouldn't have no troubles with Wisconsin there. Sorry, all you Badger fans. Can Miami bounce back against Stanford? They host Stanford on ESPN at 6.
Yes.
All right. One of the games in the SEC in the prime time.
Yes, they can take the U.
Yes. A&M, Texas A&M, and LSU on ABC at 6:30. Real quick, who do you think wins that one?
Give me Texas A&M. They've been road tested all year long. They passed the test so far. It's going to be another close one with conference action here. Let's see what Brian Kelly will hit. I think they need. I'm talking about the LSU Tigers. They need this game more than Texas A&M does. But I think Texas A&M have enough to pull off another tough win on the road.
Boston College and number 19 Louisville at 6:30 on the ACC Network. Michigan and Michigan State, they'll ruin their in-state rivalry on NBC at 6:30. Can Sparty pull off the upsets?
Can they? Yes. Will they? No. Give me the Wolverines.
All right, Colorado State and Wyoming on CBS Sports Network, Tennessee and Kentucky on SEC Network at 6:45. Arizona State and hosting Houston on ESPN2 at 7 o'clock. And to cap it off, your buddy Coach Prime and his Colorado Buffaloes to go to Utah to face the Utes at 9:15 on ESPN as the nightcap there in Salt Lake City.
Hopefully, Colorado's defense can come up with a couple of big turnovers, and hopefully they can get back to running the ball consistently with Welsh. So if they can do those two things, I think they can keep this game close. Can they pull off the win? It's possible, but I think they'll come up short. I think they'll play much better, but I think Utah has the edge in this one.
Yeah, they're going to have to slow down Mr. Devon Dampier for the Utes. So should be a fun one out there. That might be a good game to stay up late for. I know Buffs are 3-4, but they're facing a Utah team that's 5-2 overall. But they should be able to at least keep it close though. But yeah, that should be a fun one. But that's your schedule for week 9 in college football.
Yeah, we're taking our last 2-2 timeouts. You listen to Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago on the hashtag Football Friday. When we return, we'll end the show, as always, with our girl, Miss Christine, the Queen Manika, with her weekly NFL picks. She did something that was very surprising to some. And we'll get into that, who's our new leader in the clubhouse in our NFL picks department. And we'll discuss the gambling, among other things, and a whole lot more. As you stick and stay right here on Sports Zone Chicago.
Hey, it's your boy, the Superback, Sean Sierra, and be sure to follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms, on Facebook, Instagram, and our Roku channel. You can find us at Sports Zone Chicago, and on Twitter, we are at Sports Zone Chi. Also, be sure to download our mobile app so you can take Sports Zone Chicago with you on the go.
Got it done here. Ouch! And we're gonna make sure you lit this time. Ouch! You're not gonna get me this time.
Ow, Manny!
Whoops! Let's try an easy one.
Every day, we take steps to keep the people we love safe, but some health risks are easy to miss. Ticks hiding in the yard can spread germs, like the ones that cause Lyme disease. Mice searching for food can spread bacteria that makes us sick. Mosquitoes lay eggs in standing water and can spread West Nile virus and more. Cockroaches are drawn to water in the home, leaving behind allergens that can trigger asthma attacks. Common pests can threaten our health. Learn how to protect your family at pestworld.org.
Hey, this is Corey McGee, and I listen to Sean and Maya on the morning show.
And welcome back to Second Seed Sports on Sports Social Chicago. You can find LaKeena McGee on the Twitter, executes again the IG.
You can follow yours truly, Sidney Brown, on the Twitter, X, and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
And of course, we're going to be doing our picks. We're going to be doing, talking about the NBA gambling investigation and so much more. Of course, you can, if you have any comments or questions, we'll try to answer it for you. You can catch it. You just do your thing on the YouTube Sports College Facebook YouTube channel. It's all right there for you, and we'll have your comments and questions up on the screen for you.
Let's not waste any more time. She's our weekend girl from KXRB in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Here comes the one, the only, our girl, your girl, Miss Christine, the Queen Manika.
Yay!
What's going on, Christine?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
It's a little cooler. It's a little cooler here.
I love it.
Yeah.
No complaints.
Yeah, we're like nice, crisp, and cool weather. Now, real quick before we get to our picks, of course, Thursday night football, it was all Chargers. They beat Minnesota pretty easily, 37-10. After a couple little hiccups, like the Chargers are kind of getting back into it real quick, guys. What do you guys think? Are the Chargers they're still right there? Of course, the Chiefs are starting to are playing better, and of course Denver's right there as well. They're 5-3. I talk about the Chargers. So, what do you guys think about that game last night?
I definitely thought that the Chargers had it from the get-go, and I'm sure the Vikings fans are getting anxious to see J.J. McCarthy get back on the field. He's only played 2 NFL games officially, so for all intents and purposes, he's still a rookie who has a lot to prove when it comes to his abilities for the team. And I do think the Chargers are still in it. I think they've kind of always been in it, but they've been lurking recently. And that game was pretty dominant for Justin Herbert last night.
Yeah, big win for the Chargers, even though they didn't have a strong running game. But Justin Herbert, as you mentioned, Christine had a big game last night, so they needed that game more. On the flip side for Minnesota, I find it interesting that J.J. McCarthy is healthy enough to play, but they're not playing him. If you've seen your guy, Christine Carson Wentz, those last couple of weeks, you wonder why he's not if you've seen him play the last couple of weeks, you know why he's not a starting quarterback in the NFL anymore. Put a couple of business on him, and you can say night. You saw that again last night, and it does not look good for him.
He was sacked. Yeah, he was sacked 5 times last night. Yeah, just brutal. You saw how banged up he was. He was holding his arm, and it was just like, it was tough to watch.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
his elbow.
Nice,
yep.
Yeah. So nice win for the Chargers. So, but Minnesota. Yeah, we're going to be seeing J.J. McCarthy again next week. Now, as far as our picks are concerned, there's a new leader in the clubhouse, Miss Christine over here. She takes a 1-game lead. She was perfect. She had said we're both perfect, 14 for 14. Yes, so she takes over the lead with our overall.
I think that's
pick.
the first time in history that's happened.
Yep.
What?
Yeah. Well, no, it's not the first time.
At least two people have gone undefeated in the same week.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I'm like, it's been a while since I've been undefeated.
Yeah, I know, right? So, I only had 10. Yeah, I had a couple some bad ones, but not to worry though. Look, I'm not. Hey, look, I'm only 3 games back. So, look, I'm not worried. Look, we're only about halfway through the season. Look, still, we're coming back. We're gonna come back strong, and let's start with these games. Here you got CBS has the doubleheader this week. Excuse me. And let's start down in Atlanta. The Falcons host the Dolphins, and they just posted that Michael Penix Jr. is questionable with the with that bone bruise in his knee.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. So and Donald Mooney is off. But
I think LaKeena's getting inside information right now as we speak.
Well, no, this is Rappaport. He posted this about a half hour ago. So this is not a Damon Jones situation. We'll talk about that in a minute here. But Donald Mooney is off the injury report, and he'll be good to go on Sunday. But I think even if Penix Jr. can't go, I think Atlanta Miami is a lot of upheaval going on down there in South Beach, and I think I'm picking Atlanta, and they're going to win handily there. I'm not even worried about that. So yeah, I'm picking Atlanta.
I said hopefully Atlanta's going to win. You never know what Falcons team you're going to get. And regardless of Michael Penix Jr., they still have Kirk Cousins that they paid all that money for. So he could get into some good use this weekend. When it comes to a bruised knee, in my opinion, suck it up. You're fine. Put on some ice and walk it off. You're honestly going to be okay. I say the same thing with hamstring injuries too. You're fine. But anyway, I digress. Falcons.
Could this be Mike McDaniel's last game as coach of the Dolphins if they don't win it? They get blown out like they did last week in Cleveland. I think this may be for real this time, but we'll see what happens with that. But as far as this game is concerned, I'm going with the Falcons. They're favored by 7.5 points at home.
All right. So next up, we got Bills coming off a bye against the Panthers. It looks like we're going to have Andy Dalton starting for the Panthers, of course. We know that Bryce Young was in a walking boot earlier this week after injury his foot last week. But yeah, it will be Andy Dalton starting. So, Sid, you start this one. Will the Bills, can the Bills bounce back?
Can they? Yes. Will they? Yes. And I know they lost their last 2 games. The bye week has done wonders for them. They need to get back running the football. I'm talking about running the football with James Cook. When you do that, head coach Sean McDermott, you win ball games the majority of the time. On the flip side for Carolina, even though it was an ugly win last week against the Jets, nice comeback for them being 4-3. But you're going to meet a real football team, and you're going to get blown out. So I'm going with Buffalo. They're favored by 7.5 points on the road.
Red Rifle, Josh Allen, 6'7". Oh, Josh Allen, obviously. Yeah, the Bills.
I also have Buffalo. I'm not going to say they'll win this handily, but I think they should do just fine down there in Carolina. Incidentally here, and I'm going to be very forward here, but our buddy Spiro Diaz will have Cincinnati twice next week because he'll be calling as I said earlier, he's going to be calling the Bears game as Cincinnati hosts the Bears next week. He's also going to be doing this game. He and Almachler and Adia Kawaba will be doing this game. The Jets and the Bengals. Christine, you start this one.
I saw a video on YouTube this week titled The Rise and Fall of Justin Fields. And at one point right at the beginning of the video, this guy says, "Oh, we've seen Justin Fields with his flashes of brilliance." And I'm like, wait a minute. Flashes of brilliance? I wouldn't necessarily go there. Like, yeah, he's had a couple of big plays, but I wouldn't call that flashes of brilliance. I'm still on the same boat with him as what I was when he first came on the Bears and his performance during that time and after that. It's not working. Even the owner came out and said that it's clearly not working in his mind and nothing's registering. For me, the Bengals should get this one pretty easily. Fields at this point, he's just oblivious to the fact that he's just not a starter. He's just not.
Joe Daddy Flacco has made a difference in that Bengals huddle.
Did you say Daddy Flacco?
Yep.
Yeah.
Did you say Daddy Flacco?
Yes, he did.
Daddy Flacco. Another trademark name on the show. You got Joe Money, now you got Daddy Flacco.
Daddy
Trust me, if he wasn't playing,
oh gosh.
Trust me, if he wasn't playing right now, he'll be at home with his kids in front of the television. He doesn't have a dad bod yet. But as far as this game is concerned, Cincinnati should win this game handily. Maybe the Jets defense step up, surprisingly, maybe. But Cincinnati's the play here. They're favored by 6.5 points. I'm picking the Bengals. Who they think will beat the Bengals?
Oh God! Now I got Joe Flacco's dad bod in my head. Now, thanks, Sid.
That thing.
No, it's not. No, it's not. No,
Think about that.
No. Now I'm just thinking about Joe Flacco. No, he does not have a dad bod. But yeah, I'm just thinking about that. If he did have a dad bod, that'd be kind of weird. But no Sauce Gardner, no Garrett Wilson. So yeah, Cincinnati should. And I know Trey Henderson. I know he's questionable too with that hip injury, but Cincinnati should be able to do. They should do just fine against the Jets.
They'll
So,
save for the Bears next week.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So that should be yeah. Now we'll talk. We'll definitely be talking about that next week. You got the 49ers and the Texans. Texans coming off a short week after that tough loss in Seattle. 49ers. I don't know how they're doing it with all their injuries. The Texans. I feel bad for the Texans because they were kind of an up and comer. Now they're kind of taking a step back. I think San Francisco wins this. I know, they're playing a new game, but San Francisco shouldn't have no problem with Houston. So I'm picking San Francisco.
I'll tell you why the 49ers are doing it, because of Kyle Shanahan. That guy knows how to work his players, whether they're injured or not. He just knows how to move that line going, and he has confidence in his team. And that's what's been winning them games. It was great to have George Kittle back on the field. McCaffrey was having another monster game. And I've said for a while after that first year of CJ Stroud that he was going to be in a slump. And I think we're seeing that more this year. I expect the 49ers to take this one.
I'll be the odd man out, and I'll go with the Houston Texans. They're favored by 2.5 points at home. I think defense is going to save the day for them. So I'm going with the Texans.
Oh, boy, Sid.
You might get a game on Sid there, Christine.
Oh, boy, Sid.
All right, you got the Browns and the Patriots. Kind of an intriguing one here. Sid, you start this one.
Let me find this on my scorecard. Okay. The New England Patriots are favored by 7.5. They are 5-2. Cleveland, they got all the fun now out of their system last week, beating the hapless-ass Dolphins. But I think the Browns will be in store for a dose of reality. Mike Vrabel has the Patriots squad playing well right now. You saw what they did last week. You'll see what they're going to do here again this week. So I'm going with the Patriots at home. They're favored by 7.5.
I'm going to go with the Patriots too. Drake May is looking really good this year, and Mike Vrabel, credit to him. He's really turning this team around. So I think there's a lot of good things in store again for the Patriots.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it 100, keep it short and sweet. I think New England, I think Drake May's been playing very well. That defense definitely playing like that, rough, like and tumble, just like, Vrabel did back in the day when he played for the Patriots. So, New England, they should be able to win this game pretty handily against the Browns at home. Now, Christine, you're going to get this game up there in Philadelphia. You got the Eagles and the Giants, and I'll start with you here. Somewhat intriguing matchup, although incidentally, I saw this, or I know you did it in our group chat. The NFL fined the Giants $200,000, head coach Brian Daboll $100,000, and Cam Scatterbo $15,000 for violating the concussion protocol during the evaluation of Jackson Dart. So they're a little lighter on the wallet today. But
I don't understand why Scatterbo's getting fined. Did he go in the medical tent or something?
Maybe that's why. I guess that's the only thing I can think of.
I don't even understand why Coach Brian is getting fined. Like, I'm totally confused by that.
Yeah, but also the Eagles got a nice bounce back win against Minnesota. So you start this one with this game on the field between the Giants and the Eagles.
I mean, they're at home. It's got to be the Eagles, keeping it short and sweet there.
The Giants will try again for the third time to get rookie quarterback Jackson Dart's first win on the road. You saw what happened last week against Christine's husband's team. We won't go into that just yet. But Philadelphia, as I told you on this program around this time last week, it's over for Philadelphia. Oh, this, all that. I told you, don't buy into the hype. You saw what happened. They took over the game early. Minnesota's playing catch-up, and that's Philadelphia Eagles football. So I expect Philadelphia to do the same thing here. They'll win the game, and they are favored by 7.5 points at home.
I'm going to pick the Eagles as well. I think it's going to be short and sweet with all the silliness that's been
I think Tom Brady's calling this game.
Yep. Like I said, this is going to be the game. Yeah, this is going to be the game of the week here. Well, supposedly, the Parks are pretty stagnant. So most of the day, I said Christine is going to get it out there in Sioux Falls. But I'm picking the Eagles. So they shouldn't have no problems with the Giants here. Incidentally, going to the late games now. Like I said, told you guys it was a very short schedule. This could be most of Chicago will get this game here in the NFC South. You got the Bucks and the Saints. Sorry, folks, if you don't have red zone. But so you start this one.
The Saints lost ugly here in Chicago last Sunday. While the Buccaneers, where was the offense? I was disappointed. You were facing a good Lions team, and damn it, they didn't show up. Ugh. But Tampa Bay's favored by 3.5 points on the road. Maybe the Saints will show up and give a little bit of effort since they're at home. But Tampa Bay's the play here. I'm going with the Buccaneers.
I still think Tampa Bay is one of the better teams this year and in their division for sure. NFC, I think they're up there too. Sticking with the Baker Mayfield train, going with the Bucks.
Yeah, I know Mike. Yeah, good one. I know Mike Evans is out with a broken clavicle, but I think Tampa should do just fine here. They're in the driver's seat in the NFC South. Yeah, I think Tampa should win this one. Not handily, but I think they should be able to pull this one.
And
Out.
even like keep this in mind too, even before Mike Evans got back on the field last week and before, he broke his clavicle, they were doing completely fine without him. So that just shows that the offense is pretty translusive, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely a good one there. Now, I thought I lost the coverage map shoot, but yeah. Half the nation will get this one as part of the doubleheader. The Cowboys and the Broncos on CBS. We know about the Broncos comeback. 33 points in the fourth quarter. Just absolute insanity. They were honoring Demaryius Thomas before the game. All the emotion there. So yeah, the players of the Cowboys squad that's been playing better lately. So again, that's always a that's a good thing. But I think the elements too, and I kind of feel like the Mile High Air might kind of do the Cowboys in. So I'm picking Denver for this one, but it should be a close one though at Mile High.
I am very surprised, LaKeena. Even with the comeback last week, Chris couldn't even believe it. He thought that he was watching a cinematic movie. I mean, it was crazy. And even though the Broncos did show out in the end, I still think the Cowboys are a team to look out for this year. They have been looking pretty decent, all things considered, and I think they could get the win in the Mile High City. So I'm going to go with the Cowboys.
Shout out to Christine. I know he was very happy after what happened last week.
He couldn't believe it.
After one of the most improbable wins in Broncos franchise history. You mentioned the Cowboys. They got CeeDee Lamb back last week. They looked unstoppable against the injured Washington Commanders. I told you last week on the show that this would start a downfall for the Commanders. So look what's happening now. We'll get to their game in just a moment. But the Broncos are on a current 8-game winning streak at home. Also, too, don't forget the Cowboys running back Javonte Williams. This would be a revenge game for him as well. He was with the Broncos for a couple of years, so look for him to try to have a big performance. But I think this is going to be a 2017, 21, 18 type game. I'm going with Denver here, and they are currently favored by 3.5.
Both of you guys. Oh, my gosh.
Well, incidentally, though, most of the nation will get that game. Now, those of you in Chicago, Indiana, most of Indiana, Tennessee, Kentucky, and Northern Alabama and Mississippi, you'll get this second game on the doubleheader there for the second 325 game on CBS. You got the Titans and the Colts. Titans are 1-6. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. The Colts, I love what they're doing. Like I said, Shane Steichen definitely making the case for early favorite for Coach of the Year. Daniel Jones been playing very well. He looks like Peyton Manning. That O-line led by Quentin Nelson is strong. Jonathan Taylor, you could probably say he's the MVP. That defense is really solid. So yeah, I think this could get ugly very quick. So I'll be watching that Dallas-Denver game on this computer here. So yeah, I'm picking Indianapolis, keeping it short and sweet.
I'm still riding with Indiana Jones. I'm loving it, and I'm so happy that he has found his stride and he's in the place where he should be. Keeping it short with the Colts.
Look at LaKeena McGee playing out Roker with the coverage map. Love it. Keeping it short and sweet here. I'm going with Indianapolis. They're favored by 14.5.
Oh boy, that's all right. Sunday night here. Lots of stories here with this one. You got the Packers and the Steelers. This will be Jordan Love's 40th start. He'll be facing his mentor, if you will, and Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, of course, will be facing his former team, or one of his main former team in the Packers here. They got a good one here for NBC. I know they're gonna be hyping this game like crazy. There's gonna be an over/under of for sure how many times. How many times will they show Aaron Rodgers in his Packers uniform? But we'll see. But I don't know. I mean, the Packers haven't been very impressive. They've shown you how like tough they can, that they can play and such when they're kind of got their against the wall. I know the Steelers have been able to steal on that loss to the Bengals on the last Thursday night. Will we see Roger Jones push Aaron Rodgers, or you'll give Aaron Rodgers a piggyback ride again? We'll see. But we'll see over on that one. But yeah, it should be a close one, but I'm picking Pittsburgh for this.
This is a toss-up, and I'm sticking with my pick of the Packers just because I have seen some flashes of good with them. Micah Parsons seems to be getting in a little bit better, finding his own there. And with him on the other side of Aaron Rodgers, I think he should be a little bit nervous about that, because you know that Micah's probably going to be gunning for him almost all of the snaps. So it's going to be a good game for sure, close one. I am putting my faith in the Packers. I never thought I would say that.
Let's not forget the Packers for the second straight week in a row. Josh Jacobs saved that offense. If it wasn't for him, the Packers should be on a 2-game losing streak, but that's not the case. On the flip side, for Pittsburgh, this is a rematch of the 2010 Super Bowl, I think. Super Bowl 47, where the Aaron Rodgers' only Super Bowl title. So that's going to be a storyline as well. But the Steelers, in my opinion, they need to trade for a running back at the trade deadline coming up here in the next week or two. Jalen Warren, he's not getting it done. But I think because they're at home, I think their defense is going to step up and make that big play. I'm going with Pittsburgh. And currently, Green Bay is favored by 2.5 points on the road.
All right. Your Monday nighter, you got the Commanders and the Chiefs. Commanders is like Jay Dales will not play. So it'll be Marcus Mariota again. I know that the Chiefs are starting to find their groove a little bit now that Rashee Rice is back. Christine, you start this one for us.
Hamstring injury again. I have my opinions on that, but that's fine. I'm going to go with the Chiefs here. They're at home, and it should be another good game for them to get things moving again.
Maybe the Commanders will put up a fight and cover that 11.5 point spread, but we pick straight up winners on the show. I'm going Kansas City.
Casey, short and sweet. Now, of course, last but not least, you got the Bears going on the road to face Baltimore. The wonderful Eagle, JJ Watt, never watched, will have the game call this game here. And no inside information, but the Bears did post their injury reports. You guys ready? If I can get this. Our buddy Mark Grody just posted. Like, if I could just find it again, silly Twitter feeds. All right, I just had it. Damn it. Okay, we're doing this live, folks. So sorry, be a little more prepared for this. All right, now here's the surprise. Kyler Gordon with a groin injury and calf. He was limited and will be out for Sunday. Rashawn Johnson, of course, he hasn't practiced all week with the back. Braxton Jones, he's out with a knee injury. Cole Kmet, that back injury did not get any better. He's out as well. Tyree Stevenson is also out. DeAndre Swift and Austin Booker are questionable. Of course, also that groin has been bothering him. Booker with the knee as well. So yeah, so they're going to be shorthanded, especially on the secondary side for the Bears on Sunday against the Ravens. Let me go through Baltimore's. I know John Harbaugh kind of played a little gamesmanship there, saying, "Well, Tyler Huntley's going to start if the bar doesn't play." He was a full participant there, so unless something weird happens, he is going to play. So, Sid, you start this one.
As we talked about to start the show, if the Bears linebackers are not smart and aggressive, it's going to be a long day for their defense. If Kyler Gordon and/or Tyree Stevenson were not going to play, it's going to be a long day for the Bears. Expect Zay Flowers and tight end Mark Andrews to have big days for the Baltimore Ravens. I have Baltimore in this one, unfortunately, and they are favored by 7.5.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say the Bears, and this is why, because Lamar's been so questionable for the last couple of days. Limited Wednesday, limited Thursday, didn't practice on Monday and Tuesday. They had a bye week. You would think that he would have been a full participant throughout the week. Finally got a full practice today, but how is that going to hold up when it comes game time on Sunday? I don't know that. And another thing is, they really haven't been using Derrick Henry to his entire ability either. He's been having a very down season, not because of his performance personally. I just think they just haven't been using him in a lot of their plays for whatever reason. And the Bears, they're feeling it right now. This is a good game for them to really test their skills and to test themselves against a big time opponent on their home turf. The Ravens are 1-5 right now, so nobody really knows if they're in a major free for all or if this is just a mini breakdown. And I know it's tough to play in Baltimore, but I think the Bears are up for that challenge. And if anybody wants to see Ben Johnson take his shirt off for some free hot dogs, this could be the game he'll do that for. So I'm picking the Bears.
Yeah, see now again a visual of Ben Johnson with his shirt off. I've got the visuals there. We're doing the weird visuals.
It's not a bad thing. It's
no,
not weird.
No, that's not weird at all. But yeah, I'm thinking Baltimore. Look, I was gonna pick Baltimore even before Kyler Gordon's surprise calf and groin injury. I just think that look, the Ravens are a lot fresher. They're playing with a little bit more urgency. They're 1-5. They can, they still got a good shot of winning that AFC North division. The Bears are going to be shorthanded with that secondary, especially with both Gordon and Stevenson out now. So Lamar Jackson or not, I think Tyler Scoop Huntley has shown that he's more than capable of holding down the fort. We may be seeing a lot of Derrick Henry, and like I said, they're coming off a bye, so they'll be able to refocus, heal up, and I think that defense of the Ravens will definitely give that offense of the Bears some tests. So that's why I'm picking Baltimore. And look, I'll say the Bears will cover, but I'm taking Baltimore to win it. So, and that is your.
I hope you're right, Christine. But it's tough to win a game on the road when you're shorthanded, especially in your secondary.
Yep, I have confidence. I got all the confidence in this team now.
All right, and those are our picks.
Christine just want to see another Ben Johnson celebration. I know what it is.
Yeah. I know.
Hey, good, better, best. Never second guess. You know what I'm saying?
Oh boy, she's rhyming now. She's rhyming now, folks. Okay, those are our picks for NFL Week 8. That's listen to Second Season Sports. Sports of Chicago, LaKeena, McGee, Sidney, Brown, our girl Christine Mann from KXRB. Still got a few more minutes here before we wrap things up. Of course, the big news that has been kind of dominating the headlines, I guess. Within the last 24 hours, the gambling investigation, which involves Chauncey Billups, Hall of Famer. Also, now former Portland head coach Chauncey Billups, Miami guard Terry Rozier. Of course, he was already arrested earlier this year anyway for some gambling stuff. Now you got assistant Damon Jones. They're part of this big, gambling ring, poker games, by the mafia. It's, by the six families. So some Italian six families.
5 families, yeah.
Five families and stuff like that. Yeah, there were 3 or 34 people were arrested as a result of this years-long investigation. Years-long, Stephen A. Covering 11 states, tens of millions of dollars and such. And it involves the Hornets and Magic, the Blazers, the Lakers, and the Raptors, according to that indictment. Just a lot of weirdness going on there. And it's a lot to unpack here. I know just a couple of minutes here, but we're going to try. Christy, what are your thoughts? I'll start with you on this.
I think there's a difference between what Chauncey did and what the players did. With Chauncey, he didn't necessarily get involved with the NBA and sports betting in that regard. What he's going through, he's got to be in pretty deep if he's messing around with the 5 families. I mean, in my mind, this is what drives me crazy. If I'm a professional athlete or if I'm a coach in the NBA or NFL, whatever the case may be, why do I need more money? Why do I need to be messing with gambling or messing with the mafia? All that stuff. Like, what would possess someone to wanna someone that has pretty much everything? What would possess them to even think about going down this path? So that's the first thought with Chauncey is that it's a completely separate issue that he may be in a better position than what Terry is going through. I saw some videos the other day of him missing shots, doing some lackadaisical bounce passes, getting a tip off of another player. When you put it to perspective as to what he's exactly charged for, you kind of have a oh my god moment. Like you just kind of have a shock of looking at that game tape and seeing it being all played out. And again, what would get someone to be in a position like that? It's beyond me, and it's something that I'm never going to understand because I can never be that type of a person. But this is going to be a big story that's going to take over the sports media headlines for a little bit, especially when more former current players come out too.
I'll just wrap it up real quick. I know so many people, including yours truly, said that when all these four professional sports leagues here in our country, NHL, NBA, NFL, and Major League Baseball, they're in bed with these sports betting companies like FanDuel. They have their own sports network, which they took over Fox Sports Network a few years ago. But like DraftKings and all those other companies, and a lot of the sports media podcasts too that we all watch and listen to, they're sponsored by these companies too. I know some people say, well, gambling should go away. Unfortunately, gambling will never go away. And then number two, the reason why these leagues are in with these bank companies because this country's broke. I'm not going to go too deep in the political rabbit hole here, but it's not going to go away. But it's not so much betting the point spread on these games. It's more of these parlays and getting the casual fan. The real reason why the NFL is so popular is not just because of fantasy football. It's betting these parlays and having these prop bets. And now these athletes are unfortunately getting hate messages online for some of these fans. You didn't give me my one touchdown, so I give you my parlay, so I'm going to threaten you, which is still stupid. Yes, gambling addiction is real, just like drug addiction, sex addiction. Yeah, I said it. And some of these other addictions. But still, I'm with you, Christine. We have all the money than all three of us combined sitting in this room. What makes you do that What makes you do that outside of you having an addiction, having a problem? It's beyond me.
Yeah, and I think like Charles Barker, they said on Inside the NBA on ESPN yesterday, because remember he had his own issues with gambling and such, years ago. And it's unfortunate because, Chauncey Billups, like I remember him when he was at Colorado, really stand-up guy. He was all Big 12 a couple of times before he got drafted by, all Big 8. It was Big 8 at the time. Then it was a Big 12, but just moments think he had to be wrapped up in this. The Rozier, I know he had to put up his house up as collateral because he had like a $6 million bond or something like that. He had to put his house up. Yeah, he had to put up like $5 million, his house up for as collateral. And Damon Jones, now we got this whole thing that where maybe like he has some information about LeBron's injury years ago during that Game 7 of the playoff game from a few years ago. Some inside information there. Just the whole thing to see is kind of silly. Now, Adam Silver, to his credit, did say that they are going to have to regulate the gambling a little bit. And, well, sure enough, looks like they're going to have to do that. So, yeah, gambling's not going away. I know people will, gambling's ruined sports. Well, let's remember, this stuff was happening even before gambling was legal.
Right.
I remind folks about the whole thing happened at Boston College years ago. Remember, Sid? Gary Wills was a coach at the time. And, he
don't forget SMU back in the day, Eric Dickerson.
Yeah.
That was like even a little couple years later. So so for people to say that, look, this has been going around for a long time, and so it's just another it's just a bigger scale now because gambling is legal in most states, not all states, but in some states, including here in Illinois, it is legal. But yeah, it's good. They're going to try to regulate this sometime. I don't know how you do it, but because it brings in money. How are you going to regulating it is going to be the key here for all these leagues, even the college sports as well, because that's becoming a problem too. So I know there's some stuff going on in Eastern Michigan. We won't get into that, but Google's your friend, folks, with that one. But this has been a problem for a long time. It's just now it's a greater scale now because people are making money off these gambling sites. So I don't know what you can do. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I was gonna say it Sid said it best when it comes to the networks being involved with gambling
Mm-hmm.
companies. Why? Because that pays the advertising bills. They get
Mm-hmm.
money out of it for saying their live reads and ads.
Mm-hmm.
So the networks, they're like you said too, LaKeena, it's not going away because gambling's making money, the networks are making money. It's a vice versa relationship.
And also, too, just to put a capper on it, like LaKeena said, 38 out of the 50 states here, United States, are have legalized gambling. Will it ever be regulated across the board? I think eventually it will be. And just for a fact, you could bet on professional sports here in the state of Illinois. You still cannot bet on college sports here in the state of Illinois. If you want to bet, if you want to bet on college sports in the state of Illinois, you gotta go across state lines that allows it.
Yep, I know South Dakota, they don't allow collegiate or professional sports betting. There's casinos around here. There's plenty of casinos. I can guarantee that, but you got to go over the border into Iowa if you want to do anything like that.
Yeah, so definitely.
I was just getting ready to ask you, Christine.
Yeah. I think so. I think some things are similar to what South Dakota. Yeah, I think they'll go across state lines if you want to do sports betting, but. This will be you'll be talking about this again, so we'll see what happens there. To be continued with this one, as we say now. Christine, World Series starts tonight. Who do you have?
I think everybody, it's Canada. I got to go with the Dodgers. Keep the trophy here in the States. It's just because it's Canada. I wish it was the Mariners, but it's fine. It's the Dodgers, I think, for this one.
How many games?
I'll give them 5. I'll say that Toronto gives them a run for their money, at least for one game. I'll say 5.
Oh, all right. Okay. All right, cool. All right, anything else, guys, before we disperse? Now we're up against it, but yeah, anything else before we disperse?
Yeah, 2 thumbs up to the NBA on NBC making its return on Tuesday. Despite the technical glitch in the beginning of their pregame show, 5.6 million of you, including us, watch. I don't know about Christine, but me and LaKeena are part of the 5.6 million people that watched that great doubleheader on Tuesday. Great job, and shout out to the guys from the Inside the NBA crew now making their debuts on ESPN. Great shows both Wednesday and last night.
Yeah, they did fantastic. I enjoyed the heck out of it. I think this is a good thing. People were so nervous, but I'm like, you know what? It's fine. It's what I was thinking at the beginning too. I'm like, ESPN has Pat McAfee. Let him do whatever he wants. It's going to be the same thing with this show. So I'm glad to see that that's kind of on the trajectory right now.
Yeah, I think I'm glad to let them do their thing. So yeah, I'm glad about that, and also. They did a pretty good job with the coverage. But you do wish that back in the day, with your Bob Lees, Jeremy Shafts, and Roger Cossack, doing the whole thing with the gambling stuff, that they could. You kind of wish that those guys were still around, but
someone tweeted that out yesterday. Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, you kind of wish that was the case, but we got Stephen A. speaking a lot of. Let me go back on the top before I go into a tangent. But shout out to the Blackhawks. They. Yeah, I got to get out of my soapbox here with Stephen A. Before I go into a rant.
You have a problem with Stephen A? No.
Oh, really? I know, right? I know, crazy, isn't it? Right, Christine? Yeah, shout out to the Blackhawks. They're 3-0-1 their last 4 games. They got a nice win against Tampa last night. Mr. Donato again with the game winner once again for the Blackhawks with just a little under a minute left. Holding on against the Lightning. They play the Kings on Sunday, so I'll be on ESPN Plus, also CHSN for those of you there. Also, shout out to the Chicago Fire. They won their first playoff game since 2009. They beat I think they beat Orlando's team, if I'm not mistaken. I think their first win, I think, since 2009. So a nice win for them and that group. I think they play again, I believe, next week. So against Philadelphia. No, on Sunday, I should say, against Philadelphia. So this is a best of 3 with these playoff games for the MLS. So that'll be on FS1 at 4:30 on Sunday. So after the Bears game, you can check it out on there. It'll be on, like I said, on FS1, on Fox Sports, on Apple TV Plus. So watch a little bit of MLS soccer. You got it right there for you.
All right, Christine, real quick, in about 5 seconds or less, what's your final score of the Bears game since you have them winning?
Oh boy, 27-24.
All right. I guess just another Jake,
okay.
another Jake Moody field goal. Now, well, just to update there, they got Lamar Jackson as questionable. Everybody else, your Zay Flowers, your Kyle Hamiltons, Marlon Humphreys, DeAndre Hopkins, Ryan Said, they all will practice. They got Lamar as questionable though, so
told you.
Well, I think that might just be a little gameish at them. Look, this is John Harbaugh's first rodeo, so we'll see what happens in these next couple of days there. Now, anything else, guys, before we wrap up here?
Nope.
All right. You can follow LaKeena again on the Twitter, LaKeena IG.
You can follow your Shirley Sidney Brown on the Twitter, X, and the IG is SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. SIDKID80. Christine, where can the lovely people follow you on social media?
They can follow me on X at @Manika_KXRB or Twitter, whatever you call it.
The X machine.
All right, you can catch Second C Sports. Look, if you miss the show live, don't worry. If you miss our picks or whatever, you can catch it anytime, anywhere. You can catch replays of our show, Sean Sierra Sports, the Smoke Fellas, and so much more. If you miss a segment, an interview, don't worry. You can catch it right here on the Sports Chicago YouTube channels.
Yeah, we will provide.
All right, you can catch Second C's. Go ahead, Sid.
You can catch Second City Sports live in the living color every Monday, every Friday from 12:15 to 2:15 p.m. Central Standard Time right here on Sports Zone Chicago. One more time, as LaKeena would say. Be sure to catch Second City Sports live in the living color every Monday, every Friday from 12:15 to 2:15 p.m. Central Standard Time right here on Sports Zone Chicago.
All right, folks, and if you enjoy all the football, basketball, I know college hoops are about to start as well with their exhibition games, NBA, the World Series, soccer, what have you. Stay warm out there. I know it's a lot cooler in a lot of spots. So yeah, so if you're a little bit on the cooler side, stay warm. But for Sid and Christine, I'm LaKeena with Second City Sports on Sports Chicago. We'll see you guys next week.
Holla!